Welcome to the Wally Show Aftercast. All the stuff we did not get to during the course of the show today. And we'll revisit a story, and I have another one too, from yesterday. We talked a lot about the Alan Ritchson guy that plays Reacher and the beatdown that he gave the guy in his neighborhood. And we're kind of talking about, like, you know, was that the right response, or is he going to feel bad about that and be like, yeah, I overreacted, or what have you? But Betty had an update on that because, like, I know you were kind of hard on him, and like, you know,
the amount of lies that you spread about me is astronomical.
Well, it wasn't. I agreed with you until you doubted his faith, and that's when I was like, "Oh, Rock, that's a dangerous place to be."
Well, I'm going to stop the lies. Okay. So here is the update. So Reacher was wearing a body cam, and so he caught the whole thing. And I don't know if his neighbor knew about that or not, but I did watch a bit of the video. And what Reacher claims is that his neighbor Ronnie was the instigator, and the body camera footage does show that Ronnie gets out there in the middle of the street, stands, and he's standing still and trying to block him, and he does push him off his bike. And so
that is such a crazy move with someone that big. I would never do that.
And on a motorcycle.
Reacher did ask him, like, are you drunk?
Okay.
And so if he was,
Ronnie again,
Ronnie could be. He could have had some courage, liquid courage.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
The word, though, well, I didn't think of this. What if Reacher doctored the film with CGI and he was never pushed, but he gets his Hollywood buddies?
Clearly.
Yeah. That's another theory that you floated that I did not subscribe to earlier.
Did not.
But now I'm like, Rock, you might be onto something. But you said he's not going to be charged, though, because of the body cam footage.
Yep. So I don't know if he, why was he wearing body cam footage? Maybe
you know what?
Just for protection.
For him, yeah. I mean, there's so many, dash cams. There's a whole TikTok accounts just dedicated to dash cams. It makes so much sense to have one. I've seen people, walk up to a car, throw themselves on the car, fall on the ground, be like, you hit me, because they're going to sue them. Oh, yeah. And then the person goes, I've got a dash cam. And they get up and walk away.
The best one I saw was one car that pulled in front of the other, and then they tried to stop, and then the person's like, "Oh no, stopped in time."
Yeah,
and they just backed into them.
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, I do see." I feel like people who bike do tend to wear GoPros. Though.
Yeah,
sometimes do just because they like having footage of what they do.
Yeah,
so
I think it's that and for protection like that too, and especially to celebrities. Yeah, there's a whole other layer to that where people can come after them, but. Sounds like he and Ronnie are not going to be best friends. Sometimes guys fight and then they become best friends. I don't see that happening for Ronnie and Reacher. Although that sounds like a movie, Ronnie and Reacher. That'd be great. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was watching the coverage of the Air Canada tragedy, the one where the plane is on the runway, just landed. It's doing 100 miles an hour, and they clear a fire truck to go across it to go to another emergency, and the plane hits it. It destroys the front of the plane. The pilot and the co-pilot die as a result of that. And you hear, you just hear the talk between the tower and other people on the ground, and you hear the guy go, I messed up. He knows. Like
the air traffic control guy said that.
And at that time when he said he messed up, he didn't realize the full extent of it. But, I mean, he watches this plane roll this truck over, and you're thinking, well, the people in the truck are, going to die. And they actually survived. But the pilot and the co-pilot sadly lost their lives.
And one lady was ejected from the plane.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that because that is kind of interesting too. But I wanted to talk about something we were watching this coverage, and I don't know, because here's where we talk about life stuff on the Aftercast, and I know sometimes I'll have an opinion or a take that maybe people don't get. But I was watching the coverage on GMA, and they're trying to tell the story and talk about it. And they're and the two hero pilots, and I'm like, while it's sad that they lost their lives, it's a tragedy, and you don't know what to say in a tragedy, so we always look for people to call heroes, but these guys really weren't heroes. Had they last minute pulled up and they avoided part of it and then they crashed, but more people lived, or whatever, you go, all right, that was good. These guys didn't even know what happened. They're going... They had no time to react. It just hit, and then they were gone.
Do you know that for sure?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You see it. It's there's nothing that happens. The
footage that I saw, that they knew that this was coming. Like that they knew that there was a fire truck in the way, but there was nothing they could do at that point.
Yeah, they didn't try to move, avert, bend, pull
I don't know
up
if
nothing.
they could.
No, I know that's my point. My point is
He's going like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah,
so,
it's not like it's not that they did anything wrong. They're bad pilots, anything like none of that. Not that they're not good people, but it wasn't like a hero situation. Like they weren't. Sullenberg, the guy who has the bird strike in the engine, lands it on the Potomac, and everyone walks away from that thing against all odds, landing that plane. That you go, that's a hero. That's a hero. This other thing is a tragedy, you know? And so, because my point of all of this is always, when you make everyone a hero, no one's a hero, you know, because then nothing stands out. Like it's like giving everybody a participation award, you know, kind of thing. And I know that's a really hot take for a tragedy to be right on the heels of it. And I'm sure people are like, oh, that's really insensitive. But it was just something that I noticed. And I noticed that when news people have to talk about tragedy, it's one of two things. So-and-so's a hero or thoughts and prayers. You know, and that's it. T's and P's, and because you don't know what to say, you know, and it's hard inside of all of these things. Even as believers, it's hard to say. We have another layer we can talk about when somebody is a believer, and that, you know, there's hope in heaven and stuff like that. But to the rest of the world, it's like, well, how do you make sense out of this, you know, somehow, or how do you make it a little bit better? Now, we usually look for people who are the responders in these tragedies that show up and risk their lives to save people. But then sometimes it's just the miraculous story, like that lady that Betty's talking about. Ooh. That was crazy. So she is presumably, I'm assuming, was right up behind the cockpit because the cockpit got destroyed. And she was found like some 300 feet away, still strapped in her chair because they had just landed, so you had to prepare for landing. It made me think, because I always unbuckle a little early. I might not do that. Yeah, I might stay buckled in because she got launched out. She has multiple fractures, but she's expected to recover. And it stunned aviation experts because of the severity of the wreckage to the front of the plane that she survived. Like, that's one of those times where I'm like, that feels miracle-y to me, you know?
Feels miracle-y.
Yeah, because I don't know where God intervenes and where he doesn't.
I don't either.
My wife and I had a big discussion about this the other day. It was based on our Africa trip, you know, and I because I wrestle with this, and I asked her, I said, help me see it. Where was God in this? Because I listen to people go, oh, and God's all in this, and God's doing this, and he's doing this. And I'm like, I don't see that, you know?
Are you referring to the kids of Compassion?
No, I'm the lady who got sick on the trip.
Well, I think you see God through the fact that you and Marty were there and you stayed well enough to help take care of her.
Yeah, yeah, maybe. But like, I know
she might be dead.
I know all these people are praying for her, you know, and they're praying, and that she, you know, to me, I'm like, okay, it's more obvious when all of a sudden she gets healed. You go, oh, okay, that's God. I get it. But then everything else is people just doing their jobs, you know, and it wasn't like there weren't these miracle. My point being, there weren't like these big moments that you're like, oh, that's kind of a miracle. That's amazing. But like so many people, and it's not a bad default. It's like they instantly are like, God is good, so anything good, God gets credit for. And they're like, oh, God is good, this didn't happen. You know, and I was trying to make the point, I'm like, when so many bad things happen, like say you've got a bad kid that does all these wrong things, and then one time they get a D instead of an F, and you're like, oh, there it is, there's the good. I think we as believers do that. It's bad, and then we go, oh, God is good, because one thing that may or may not have even been God happened, and we want to find the good in it so bad, which I'm not saying is even a bad thing. I'm just saying I don't process things like that. I don't live on that level. And so I really struggle through seeing when God is in something and when he isn't, because he's not always. I would love to think that he's always in every situation changing it. Now, is he there with people emotionally? I believe that 100%. You know, like this lady being sick, her praying and her husband praying for her and praying for peace and strength and hope. Like, I believe that. But there was no matter the amount of praying for healing that happened, like without the intervention of just people doing their job, you know. And I know this sounds horrible. Like, I'm the first to admit that this sounds horrible. But I think more people wrestle through this than we're comfortable talking about inside of the church, you know.
Well, maybe so, but they also find their own answer.
Yeah. And Marty was like, you have a lot of friends in the industry and pastors and stuff. You should talk to them. And I do want to have these conversations. I want to do a thing eventually, probably later this year, like a series. And I might even call it Devil's Advocate. And it's like all the hard questions that we as people ask and don't always have answers. But I'd like to hear different pastors' perspective on them, because I wrestle through. I can't be more honest than this. Like, I wrestle through this, and I think if you're being honest too, because you kind of agreed a minute ago, like knowing when God is or isn't involved in something is really tricky.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, but what I'm saying is that at some point you have to come to terms with, and you've said this before, that you're not going to get an answer.
Right. And you have to be okay with that. But I would love some perspective, like, because even when I ask my wife, my wife is a great Christian woman, but when I put her to the challenge and I said, in this scenario, where do you see God? And she literally was like, that is a good question, because I don't know. She's like, I'm sure a lot of times after the situation is over and years later, sometimes or months later, you see more of it.
So you don't see God in how he used you and Marty?
No, like because I mean, I guess, but it's just,
why not?
It's because it's how I am. I'm going to do that regardless. I could have been an atheist and I would have helped, because that's just how I know you hate this, but how I'm wired.
Well, then God might have been using an atheist. Though.
Yeah, exactly. Well, how God wired me, you know, or whatever. Like, I'm going to help. You know,
but he kept. Do you not see God in y'all two never getting sick?
Maybe that is the answer.
Can an atheist just not get sick?
Yeah, maybe that's the answer. Maybe that the provision was that we were able to help because we were healthy. Had we been sick too, then a lot of things would have gone very differently. You know, or you know, maybe because this lady crashed and they had to do CPR, and you know, there's things I don't know about that the right guy for doing CPR happened to be there that night, you know, and if another guy had been on staff, it wouldn't have gone that well, because he would have not seen it and missed it, you know, or whatever. Like, this guy was awake and not asleep, because they did sleep. Like, we had to wake up, like, nurses and doctors. It's crazy.
But I think ultimately your questions come from a lack of feeling control. And if you controlled everything, then there wouldn't be a need for God.
I don't know that it's actually a lack of control, because, yeah, I do struggle with that area. But it's more like, I don't have to be in control. I just need to know somebody is. As an 8 on the Enneagram, like, I don't have to be the leader as long as somebody knows more than me. And so for me, I want to see God. I think I'm that Thomas that needs to see God's hand more plainly. Does that make sense? Like, my sister doesn't need to at all. My sister is just, my oldest sister, just, God said it, I believe it, that settles it.
Has she been through a lot of tough times?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and she's seen his hand in his provision and things like that. And maybe I haven't suffered enough in my life, you know, that maybe I take too much on as my own responsibility, or give myself credit for being mentally strong or working through something or whatever, you know, or making good decisions, and where she would assign all of that to God, you know, kind of thing. And I don't always do that. But I feel like I need to see things more clearly, that and I need to look for it too. Because you look for what you find. If you want to find bad, and if you see bad all the time, it's because you look for it and you find it. And the opposite of that is true as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's just a moment of talking through all this stuff that I was kind of like, I am not sure where I land on that, you know. But anyway.
I don't have a pastoral degree, so I'm not the person to ask.
Which would be good to have you, bring, if you're able to concoct a roundtable conversation with people. Yeah. Maybe artists that are past, like someone like a Torrin Wells, your pastor here in town.
Sure.
These people who paid, money to go. Yeah.
and know more than me.
Understand that better.
Yeah, I mean, because I know that you can't always have an answer for things because our ways are not his, and I'm not necessarily looking for that as I am like insight, like Betty, you saying, well, maybe the God part of the story was you. Okay, that's fine. I would never look at me like that, but maybe that's a different perspective that I hadn't considered, and so because I know I won't get an answer on some of this stuff, but like hearing different perspectives to make you go, oh, okay, I better understand how God's not inactive sometimes, but he's doing things differently, or he's there, but it's just not the way I would think, kind of thing. So anyway, that's enough of the depth of faith stuff. And now we're going to move to the fun of Rock Report?
Not really.
Oh, no. Is it bad? Mm-hmm. What is it?
No, you got to give me a segue.
I can't remember what it is. I need to start asking you. This one is about
that movie, The Drama.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh.
It's about to get...
Oh, yeah.
This is rough.
And I know that this is, like, I'm trying not to be too dramatic, but I'm sharing my drama and my trauma right now. I believe there's a new movie coming out called Drama that has possibly led to some trauma for some people, like in real life, though, right?
Yes, in real life. So there is a movie called The Drama starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, and I thought that it was already released. It is not. So if you were planning to go and see this movie and you don't want the plot to be ruined for you, well, then you might need to tune out for a little bit or fast forward.
Give them a beat, Rock, in case they want to jump out, because you're going to divulge. Now, you're divulging stuff that maybe, was it in the trailer and stuff too, or no? Oh, so somebody else saw it,
I guess
like
so.
Screener, and then you found that? Okay. All right, you've had fair warning.
Okay, so here's the plot twist in the movie. So in the trailer, you see Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. They're a newly engaged couple, and they tell each other the most, like, crazy secret that they have. And Zendaya, she said that at one point when she was younger, her character planned a school shooting but got cold feet and didn't go through with it.
Boy, and if you're newly married, you'd be like, what did I just do?
Right. So you don't know that watching the trailer. You find that out watching the movie.
Okay.
And that plot twist is causing a lot of controversy. Specifically, Tom Mauser, he's the one that's really speaking up. He's the father of a victim of Columbine in 1999.
Yep.
So his son, Daniel, was killed in that school shooting. And his problem with this movie is he claims that it normalizes school shootings, it humanizes the shooters, and it's not proper for entertainment.
Huh.
That is such a tough line to walk, because where I get everything he just said, like, I understand that. I also know that, art imitates life, and you write stories about things that we experience as people. And sadly, school shootings are part of our human existence. Violence is part of our human existence. Now, should we be portraying it on films? You can debate that all day long. And I can see where, as a dad, he would want nothing to do with this movie. I don't necessarily agree with the normalizes school shootings, but it is interesting him saying that it puts the shooter in more of a sympathetic light, because if you see her as an actress and you're like, oh, she's beautiful and she was troubled, but it's okay, she didn't do it, and you might be tempted to think more humanely of the actual shooters, which, I mean, honestly, we're kind of called to do that too as believers, which is hard.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, like, if it was, if she planned it, like, she didn't, like, commit a crime per se, right? Either.
Yeah, she didn't go
so
through
it's not
it.
like it was something outright criminal, but it's obviously horrifying.
Yeah.
I don't think that necessarily we need a movie about a school shooting. Like, I mean, I don't think that the world is going to change for the better because this movie was put out. I don't think it's going to change lives. So I think if he has concerns about it, then I say get rid of it. I don't see what the point of it is. There are so many more movies that can be made that don't talk about these things. Also, too, there's a lot of things that back in, like, 50, 60 years ago were not so accepted, and now they are, and it's because it's been accepted in commercials and movies and TV shows, mainly when it comes to the LGBTQ community. 50, 60 years ago, if you showed that in a commercial, people would be like, oh my gosh, and like cancel that business. But now they put them in bank commercials, candy commercials. It doesn't really matter. And so I could see where his fear is legit when it comes to normalizing school shootings. Sure. Also, too, I can see where it humanizes the shooter. I can see where he's coming through with that, because we see so many movies now, like Disney. They've been doing this whole thing where they're doing movies based off of the
villains.
The villains.
Yeah.
And it's become a big thing. Also, too, there was a whole movie about Joker, the Batman guy.
Oh, that was dark.
And so we tend to go towards more darker themes, and I don't necessarily think that is needed. Because are we humanizing the person that did something wrong there? Like, yeah. I don't think it's necessary. And two, once again, I would agree with all of his points, because why do you want to go to a movie and that's what they're talking about? Like, I want to forget the world for a minute.
I know. I like movies that are more based in realism. Like, for me, when the movie becomes not like plausible anymore,
or it becomes
don't like
political.
It. Yeah, but like with this, like, it's an interesting plot twist because you don't see it coming. Like, I love creativity. I like the art of things. And so, to me, anytime someone does a movie that has a plot twist that you don't see coming, I'm always like, oh, wow. And while I get this would hurt people that were directly involved with that stuff, absolutely. My heart would break for them that they would relive this stuff again. Mm-hmm. This is where you get into still, like, freedom of speech has to trump that stuff. You know, like, if you don't like it, then you don't go see it. But you have the right to say this is horrible. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And you should. If you believe that. But then, by the same token, I don't want to live in a place where we go, oh, yeah, you can't make these movies, you know, because then you run into the bigger issue of the freedom. I tend to lean really on the side of personal responsibility. And honestly, commerce is what drives everything in Hollywood. So if enough people just go, I'm not going to go see that, then it dies, you know, and it doesn't. And that's how you vote, in essence, you know. And so you do have power with that. You do support the movies that are, you know, good, and, you know, support faith-based movies. And when those do well, you know, and then other movies that are the opposite of that don't do well, it does send a message to Hollywood. They're doing more faith-based movies than they've ever done, in big studios attaching to movies because they've seen, it's not like they're great people. They've seen that they make money, you know? Yeah. And so that's how you affect things. That's how you affect big companies and stuff. So I think for me, though, I keep going back to a situation that happened years and years and years ago. And this is a little different because the example is not it's not controversial like the take on this creativity. But I remember talking about going to the beach or something like that, just a nothing conversation about a beach. And a lady called and was so mad at me on the show. How dare I talk about the beach and stuff, because I had, I forget if it was a child or a friend that drowned at the beach. And I'm like, okay, so we're all going to not talk about the beach anymore? Are we going to just like get rid of, like, cement the ocean? You know, this is where you got to deal with your stuff, because people are going to talk about the beach. Now, I know that this is different than it's not directly correlated to like a school shooting movie, you know, kind of thing. But the same premise is you got to handle your own, you know, because the world is going to keep doing what it does. And if you let it undo you, its design isn't to make your life better. Its design isn't to not offend you, you know.
I think the main thing they could do with this movie that would help everyone involved is some of the money that they earn from the ticket sales goes towards something that involves mental health for the younger generation.
And you also too have to look
at win-win.
You have to look at the twist. Does the twist go somewhere? Because we only have this much information on it. Like, her divulging that is
when has that ever stopped you?
I know that's very true. But if that plot twist is part of the bigger story that unveils, and there is something good that comes out of that, then that's great, you know. But if it's either a weird plot point that just exists for whatever reason for the point of being a plot point, or it goes to a dark place, then yeah, I mean, I get why that is damaging and would be hurtful for people 100%. And I can't even imagine losing my child and losing my child horrifically like that. I would become an advocate. And just like this guy, he has the right to do it, and he should be as loud as he wants to be.
And I would say too, a lot of people are probably angry at him in Hollywood because he is giving away the plot to the movie, and it hasn't even been released yet.
I know.
So I bet they are pretty.
You know what? Good for him. Like he has that right.
And the whole movie is just based on like her saying something, and then everybody just being like so horrified by it. So, like either it was going to be something horrifying that probably was going to offend. Yeah, again,
well, it kind of has to be too for that
create the storyline.
Yeah, for that plot point to work, it has to be something that's so jarring. That's like dark comedy. It has to be something that's jarring. Or I get tickled when I talk to other radio people at other Christian radio stations, and they'll tell me a story about something authentic that they did and how they, I felt led by the Spirit to share this today. And I was at a grocery store and I had an unkind thought, and I'm over here going, I dropped the F-bomb in front of my kid when she was young, and that's horrible, but it's just, it's not jarring when you're like, I was unkind, like, so for something to have an impact in certain situations, you have to have the jarring thing, or you have to have, like, even with, like, the compassion stuff, we try to tell the positive stories, but without showing the hardship, then without showing the dark, the light doesn't matter, kind of thing. You have to juxtapose it. And so that's why the plot point had to be jarring like that. Now, I'm curious to see where the rest of the movie goes, though, too. So, anyway, do you have any birthdays for us? No? Not a segue. I'm tired today, actually.
I couldn't tell.
Really?
Yeah.
I am so tired. You have no idea.
Your mouth isn't tired.
I almost fell asleep like at 6:30 last night.
Good for you.
I just crashed, man. I was so tired.
Catherine and Steven want to wish Genevieve a happy birthday.
Love
Genevieve is turning 7, loves gymnastics, her family, and video games. Her favorite music artists are Skillet and Wilson and KB.
Skillet?
She tries to make you smile no matter what, especially if you're having a bad day.
Happy
birthday,
amazing.
Genevieve.
She sounds like a baller. I can't believe that she loves Skillet. That's so cool.
And then Kristen, she's celebrating a birthday today. She said, I'm turning 42. I've been listening to the podcast since Zach was on the show.
Oh, wow.
I enjoy tinkering, puzzles, and good old rock songs.
I love you, girl. That is amazing.
She said that recently she discovered we have a Chuy's in my town and would love to know your suggestions for when we go to try what we should try out.
100% the steak burrito thing. Yeah, 100%. Billion percent.
No, Kristen, you need to get the chicken flautas. Okay? FLAUTES. Chicken flautas. They are fantastic. And what you need to do is you're going to get them and you're going to put them in the jalapeno dip. And that's that white dip that they're going to give you at the very beginning with your chips. Dip the flautas in the jalapeno dip. It is fantastic.
Betty and I might not agree on the main dish, but there's two things we agree on. The chips and the dip.
Yeah.
Beyond phenomenal. And churro bites at the end to finish it off.
It's the dessert. You need to get the churro bites at the very end because they give you a little cup of caramel syrup to put in it, and it is breathtaking.
So good. And they have two sizes. Get the larger size. Do yourself a favor. I mean, just don't cut out the middle, man.
It's so good.
Start with the larger size.
Don't worry about the guilt.
No. And
it doesn't exist.
And don't share if you don't need to. Get one for each.
If you don't have to, don't do it.
I did get one last time we went to Chuy's. I forget what it was. I think I was having like a big dinner that night somewhere already planned, and so I'm still trying to watch what I eat, and so I did not get a lunch meal, but I got the churros was my lunch, and I don't regret it a bit.
I would say too, Betty does it most times that we go there, but you can ask for chips and like a container of their queso or their the jalapeno dip to go at the end.
They'll give you a little bit.
It's enough to maybe enjoy the next day.
You can buy a big thing of it, but yeah, if you still have like some left in your bowl, hey, can I get a little? She always does it like this. She gets real Southern. She'll be like,
"Excuse me,
I'm so sorry, sir. Hey, oh wow, with those big muscly arms, do you think that you maybe could wrestle up some chips for me over here, maybe possibly, and a little bit of that jalapeno dip?"
Whoa.
Guillermo.
All right, we gotta go. We've got a call that we gotta make.
Oh, we do. Okay, that's it, and that's gonna do it for your Aftercast. Thanks for being a potty.